Hello and welcome to Loppy Loves. If you haven't been here before, my name is Lauren and on this channel I talk about my life as an immigrant living in Iceland. In today's video I am going to be talking about the summer in Iceland, how it's different from winter here and how life is like in the summer here. And in my head, Iceland in the winter and Iceland in the summer are like two different countries. And you will never convince me otherwise. If you have only ever visited Iceland in the winter, I would recommend that you try it in the summer, and vice versa. And if you have never been to Iceland at all, I would just recommend that you come at any time, because it's a lovely place. Now, before we start, I do need to give a shout out. Thank you again to Victoria Waters for another coffee donation, and I did actually notice that you are now a monthly subscriber. And I was just so touched when I saw that. Thank you so much, Victoria. It's so generous and so lovely of you. Thank you so much for your support and your continued support. It's amazing. And thank you again to Victoria Waters for being the first customer in my coffee shop. I have uploaded my first product finally to my coffee shop, which I will talk about more at the end of this video, so hang around if you want to hear more about that. And Victoria was actually my first customer today of that product, so I have the stuff here to get your order ready, and that will be made straight after this video, straight after I finish recording this. So thank you, Victoria. So, summer in Iceland. Like I said, it's a different country. The summer season here is short. We have kind of, in my head, like 9 months of winter and like 3 or 4 months of summer. There's only really 2 seasons here. We have a very small spring and a small autumn, but it's just summer, winter. In my mind, it doesn't feel like we have proper seasons. So summer is always exciting when it comes around because it just feels like it's been so dark and cold for such a long time. And then suddenly it's very light because, of course, we have the midnight sun. But the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Iceland opens up to tourists in the summer but closes down for locals. So summer is the main tourism season in Iceland. It's like the high season, which that surprises me because when I think about Iceland I think about, you know, the northern lights, the snow, winter, because of the name. It's like Iceland. But summer is still high season for tourists. I guess it is in most countries in the world with a lot of tourism. So yeah, Iceland is well and truly open for the tourists. There are a lot more tourist activities, more places open in the summer. Some Airbnbs only run for the summer because of restrictions on how long you can run it for, and summer is the high season. So there will be a lot to do. There'll be more, probably more for you to do if you visit Iceland as a tourist in the summer than in the winter. And also because the weather makes everything more accessible and easier to get to. So that is another reason why there's more things to do. But if you're a local here, the country basically closes down. It's a little bit of a nightmare because everyone goes on summer holiday. And for the tourism industry we have a lot of seasonal workers come from abroad, but for a lot of infrastructure we can't really have people from abroad. For the start it'd be very difficult to find Icelandic speaking workers from other countries if they've never lived in Iceland before. Yeah, and also you need professionals in certain jobs, and it's a nightmare here. So everyone in Iceland goes on sumarfrí, which is just summer holiday, if they have worked at their company for at least 1 year. I say everyone, you can choose to not take your sumarfrí, but you'll take it another time in the year because you still get, you know, the holiday allowance. So it's between like 4 to 6 weeks. It's calculated based on any overtime and things get added on, and yeah. So this year I get 5 weeks and my boyfriend gets 6 weeks. Lucky him. I had 6 weeks once. But so he's taking it in 2 blocks. I am just taking the 5 weeks in 1 block, which is what I think the majority of people do. So you just get 5 weeks off work in a row. It is amazing. And obviously you can still take holiday at other times in the year as well. It's not like that's the only holiday you get. So it's kind of like breaking up from school. In the UK we have 6 weeks off school in the summer. It kind of feels like that. It's like 6 weeks holiday from work. It's wonderful. But yeah, could you imagine that, you know, doctors, dentists, you know, there's a lot of important workers that also need to take their summer holiday, of course, and we don't necessarily have the staff to replace them. So, of course, workplaces work it out that, you know, some people go on holiday at this time and then someone else will, like, leave when that person comes back. But everywhere is still very short-staffed, and it can be very difficult to get anything done in the summer. If you need to use a service, emails can go unanswered for weeks on end if you send it to someone who is on holiday. There isn't necessarily someone else checking their emails while they're on holiday, so sometimes you just have to wait if you have no other contact that you can at that organisation that you can message. Yeah, so things can be quite difficult here because basically everything just collapses in the summer. But if you're a tourist, everything is open to you. And also, on the topic of work, we have so many teenage workers in some of these jobs, or very young workers, like late teens, early 20s. And we also have special work for teenagers that I think the local councils are in charge of. So if you go out and see a lot of teenagers in high-vis on the grass verges on the side of the roads, you'll see them in Reykjavik, but you're probably more likely to see them in small towns like this, where there's just, you know, it's a smaller town, there's a lot of teenagers. You'll just see them everywhere on the weekdays. This is the special summer work just for the teenagers, and I think you can start working in this job from the age of 13, which is probably very shocking to a lot of people. In the UK, we can't start working until we get our national insurance number, which we get around about our 16th birthday. But here, I don't think they have to work, but I think there is an expectation. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I could be wrong, but yeah, in my experience, there is a bit of an expectation that teenagers will start working that summer that they turn 13, or if they are 13 in that summer. And they do get paid for this work. Obviously I don't think they get a lot of money for this work, but it's meant to be like litter picking on the grass verges, like painting fences. There's just jobs around the town for them to do, but they do have a reputation for not really doing that much work. You'll usually just see them hanging out in groups in their high-vis, sitting on the grass verges, like chatting or on their phone or something, not doing a lot of the work that they're supposed to be doing. And we also get some of the older teenagers in other jobs where people are on summer holiday. So in my job, for example, we currently are overrun with teenagers, and some of them, or a lot of them, seem to have a similar work ethic to the ones cleaning the side of the roads. So it can be a hindrance. Some of them are very hard working, I will say that, but yeah, it's, you know, they're young, it's expected, and yeah, it is a little bit of a hassle sometimes to have them at work and to keep training them, but they're not really taking it in. And going on from before, the topic about the tourists and things being open, a lot of the roads will be open at this time of year. Most of them should be open. In the winter, there are a lot of roads that close because of bad conditions in the winter, and those roads aren't necessarily cared for in the winter. But most of the roads in Iceland should be open at this time of year. Some of them might still stay closed if the road is damaged, or if there are bad conditions, roads can close at any time. But it's the most accessible time of year to go down all of these country roads and places, you know, to interesting places. And also, if you do want to visit Iceland in the summer, be aware that the hotels book up very quickly, and it can be difficult to find somewhere to stay. I wouldn't just turn up and expect to be able to just book in a hotel as you're going around the ring road, because many places will be sold out. Campsites are usually okay to just turn up. We did that last year, but some campsites do need to be booked in advance and can sell out. I've experienced not many. I've only seen it on Facebook pages like a couple of times for a campsite. It's like, we are fully booked for this weekend, and a lot of campsites you can't book in advance anyway. So camping should be okay. I mean, I would still check, you know, if you need to book, and book ahead if you can. But hotels, yeah, don't turn up to Iceland without accommodation, not planned in the summertime. In the winter it's like a bit better, but don't do that in the summer. Like, make sure you have a plan of where you're going to stay. In this time of year, Iceland is covered in lupins, and lupins are quite controversial in Iceland. They divide many opinions. Some people love them, some people hate them. It's a bit like Marmite in the UK, you love them or you hate them. So lupins are not native to Iceland. Lupins are these purple flowers, if you don't know what I'm talking about. So the lava fields here will be covered in lupins, and I think they're very beautiful. I love them. But the lupins are not native. I believe that the ones in Iceland come from Alaska originally, and they were brought here to regenerate the soil, basically. A lot of Iceland is just desert, and you can't really grow anything there, so the lupins were brought to try and fix those deserts so that things can grow, such as forests. And this time of year is when they are all out in bloom, and you'll just see fields of purple, and it's gorgeous. But I did notice that this year there doesn't seem to be as many lupins. I mean, I have not been very far, but like locally to where I am, I went for a little road trip yesterday, and we noticed there wasn't that many lupins. And we don't know if maybe it's just a little bit early for some of them, because we have had quite harsh winter conditions like late into the year. And in May we did have a lot of snowfall, quite late in May, for one day, and maybe that's kind of affected it this year. Or maybe the lupins are just disappearing from the places where the soil has already been fixed. That'd be the nicer option, but yeah, we have to wait and see. Maybe more lupins will come later this summer. And sticking with plants, now is the time where a lot of Icelanders are gardening, or yeah, just being outside and in their gardens. In Iceland, I say last frost dates, like, we are not supposed to plant anything outside before the 1st of June, is what a lot of people recommend. I think you probably could get away with it in May a lot of the time, but this year you definitely really couldn't because of the snow that we had in May. But yeah, so 1st of June is the official day, so I've heard, that you can plant stuff outside. So right outside the bedroom window we have a new flower bed that my boyfriend put in at the weekend, which is gorgeous, and when we wake up we can see it and it's lovely. And in the opposite corner of the garden I have my first vegetable bed since I moved to Iceland, and I also have a second vegetable bed at my father-in-law's house, so hopefully we can grow some stuff. We'll see. We said this is kind of our experiment year where we get our bearings with growing stuff here, and hopefully we'll have a decent crop. And also the rhubarb is in full swing at the moment, so I actually have a rhubarb patch in the garden here and also at my father-in-law's house, and I haven't picked any yet, which is quite late for me to have not picked anything. I'm going to do that this week. I'm going to make some rhubarbecue sauce, which I wanted to make last year and never got around to it, and I'm also planning to make some rhubarb wine. But yes, rhubarb, I think it's the first crop to come up here in Iceland, and it's crazy, like the amount of people that have rhubarb in their gardens, and a lot of people don't use it, which is a shame. We're just overrun with it at this time of year. So there will be lots of rhubarb based dishes over the next few weeks and probably a lot of rhubarb jam as well, just to use it up. And finally, in the summer we have a lot more events, just because the weather's better. So there was a lot of events happening, there were a lot of festivals happening, and there are also a couple of national holidays. So we have a national holiday a few days after I'm recording this, on the 17th of June, which I think should be the day that this video is uploaded, actually. And that is 17 Juni, which is the Icelandic Independence Day. And that is that's a big holiday, actually. And my anniversary with my boyfriend is the day before that holiday, so we are planning to go camping for one night. And yeah, it might be a bit of a nightmare trying to find somewhere. And then another big holiday is in August, and it changes every year, but this year it's on the 7th of August, and that is Verslunarmannahelgi, and that is like the shopkeepers' day or shopkeepers' weekend. I still don't really know the story behind that holiday. It's like the commerce day or something, but yeah, it's like a big national holiday. And I think that might also be the same weekend as one of the big festivals here, or probably the biggest festival, and that's in Vestmannaeyja, which is the Westman Islands off the south coast of Iceland. And that festival is Þjóðhátíð, which is a huge music festival. I have never been, I have seen it on TV a few times. I have heard very mixed things about it, but it is very popular here. And here in Selfoss we have Sumar á Selfossi in August, which is a lovely, I don't know if I want to call it a festival, it's like a celebration. So each neighbourhood in Selfoss is assigned a colour. It's like the same colour every year. So each neighbourhood has a colour, and basically houses in the neighbourhood decorate in that colour. So there's like red, blue, green, pink, you know, all different colours. And you can walk around or drive around and see the decorations. And we also have Kotaletan, which I think it's this month. I think it's in June. Might have already happened, I'm not too sure. But that is a music festival in Selfoss. I have been before. Yeah, it was okay. And then events. I have been to 2 events in the last week, actually. So I went to a kimchi making class in Reykjavik, and a few days later I went to a summer gala for Erlendur magazine, and it was the launch party of Erlendur Talent Agency, and that was a lovely fancy event. It was inspired by the Met Gala and it felt very, very fancy, and I felt quite out of place being there. And then there's normally like more swap events. I already went to one recently, and I went to a few last summer. It's like big clothing swaps. Some of them are indoors, some of them are outdoors, but yeah, you just take clothes that you don't want anymore, leave them out, and find some other clothes that you want and take them home for free. And there are lots of events happening in the summer. Also outdoor concerts, they're really good. I went to one. I went to see Ed Sheeran a few years ago, outdoors, in Iceland, in Reykjavik. It was amazing. It was at Laugardalshöll, which is like the football stadium in Reykjavik, and yeah, the football pitch was just turned into a standing concert venue. And there are more of those events in the summer, and it's wonderful, actually. It's really nice, and because of the midnight sun, you know, the concert goes on till late and you can't tell. It just looks like midday. It could be midnight and you wouldn't really know the difference, honestly. So that's all I really have to say about the summer in Iceland. But now I am going to tell you about the coffee shop and the item that I have available for sale. So if you didn't already know, I have a page on Ko-fi where you can buy me a coffee if you want to support me directly. And you can either buy me a one-off coffee or monthly subscription like Victoria Waters is doing. Thank you. But also in January I won a year's membership to Coffee Gold, which allows me to create a shop and sell products, both digital and physical. And I realised it's June, it's halfway through the year, and I still haven't used this membership, and I was planning to use it while I have it, you know, for the year. So I was planning to do maybe some digital products and maybe some artwork, you know, that you could download or also post to you. But the other night I couldn't sleep properly, and I just had an idea, and just while I was in bed and couldn't sleep, I just uploaded it. And it was based on something that I bought when I was 18, so it's over 10 years ago. On Etsy I bought a letter from Paris years ago. It's just someone who was living in Paris and you could have a letter. And the one that I had, it was meant to be handwritten, it wasn't, it was a photocopy of the original letter. But I just thought, well, maybe someone might be interested in that, maybe people would be interested. So you can buy from me a handwritten letter from Iceland, and it actually is handwritten. You know, I will be writing each one, it's not going to be photocopied. And so I've made some Iceland themed letter paper. It's not going to show up very well on the camera, but this is like a photo of the lupins. It was upside down. But on the edges we have the lupins, and then this is the mountains. So it's just a picture of Iceland. So I have a summer one, which is that, and I have also made a winter paper, which is the Northern Lights. And you will just receive a handwritten letter from me, just about my life in Iceland, what's going on in my life at the moment, and it will be sent in an airmail envelope, because I think these are really cool. I don't know, there's something just nostalgic about them, I'm not sure, it's just, they feel quite romantic to me, you know, these airmail envelopes. So you'll receive them with an airmail envelope, and you'll have a really beautiful Icelandic stamp on that envelope, because I do collect some of the Icelandic stamps, not to keep, like I do use them for letters, but they do have some lovely artwork on the stamps. And you will receive at least an A4 page of writing in the letter, maybe more, but a minimum of one A4 page. They'll be posted within a week after you order, and they cost £15, which is the equivalent of buying me 5 copies. And other ways that you can support me are, of course, watching my videos. I appreciate you. Liking the videos, comment on the videos, subscribing to my channel, following me on Instagram and Facebook. I am Loppy Loves on both places. And yeah, so that's about it from me today. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever been to Iceland in the summer, or would you like to visit Iceland in the summer? And what are your plans for the summer? Are you going on holiday? Are you doing anything nice? So yeah, that's about it. Have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!